This is the GPL podcast, part of the Pull Tab Sports family.
Oh boy. Jupe making mistakes. I love it.
Gotcha. I didn't even know that. Yeah, blame it on Don.
So, Sam, I think you might have gotten kicked out of a game, maybe?
Yeah.
For being a dirty player, toe Blake, Eddie Shore.
Now, here's Jupiter and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL podcast, episode number 303. Vigs, I think we should just stop picking Gopher sweep until next season.
Yeah. I mean, we got so much faith out of the Wisconsin weekend, and then a double clunker, as Steve Miller called this last weekend. Not an ideal weekend for Gopher Nation, and no more sweeps from us. We promise, Mote.
Yeah.
I swear.
Mote's going to be pissed, but that's just how it is. What do you do? So Gophers get swept at home by Ohio State. But we'd been talking Vigs, pairwise has been going forever. MPI is the new thing this year. So we figured we'd bring in the expert on all this stuff. And I realized this week, Vigs, we have not had Tim Brule on since season number 1 of the GPL podcast.
He's like one of the founding fathers of college hockey.
He kind of is.
Fandom, right? I mean, he's been in this for a long time.
So let's bring him in. Tim Brule from an ice house in North Dakota right now. Wait, you're not in an ice house.
I'm not in the house. I'm at the cabin. But yeah, we went ice fishing this week.
Oh, you're at fish camp. You're at fish camp this week.
Fish camp. Yep, absolutely.
Well, you were on season 1, man, and I keep thinking we had to get you back on sometime because I'm sorry, nobody knows who the hell you are.
Yeah.
You've been running U.S. College Hockey Online, short, USCHO for short, for now, is it 30 years? This is your 30th anniversary?
30 years. So it started the year before, but it was known as the College Hockey homepage. I had done a website, donated it to the University of Minnesota for Gopher hockey. So, and we put up a link, this other links tab, and it was called College Hockey homepage. It's a black web page. Some of your probably earlier followers remember that page. And the next season, that was the season that the Pairwise was created. Vote for Hobie was created. That's the Pairwise was first implemented in the math department at the University of Minnesota. Probably a little known fact. I was the first person to actually publish it. I was the person that named it the Pairwise. I originally called it the Pairwise Comparison. My partner at the time, Lee Urton, who does the compiles the polls still for USCHO or USCHO to date, said the Pairwise rankings would be better because it's PWR, so power. So that's what he wanted to do, and that's what we went with. But it was in the math department at the University of Minnesota. So that's
wait. You're a Gopher?
Yeah.
You're a Gopher fan? Wait, USCHO is an Eastern bias website. There's something going on here.
Absolutely. We're an Eastern bias website. That's why the poll now says Hackensack, Minnesota. That's where I live. So I lived in Victoria and all that. I'm the publisher. I own USCHO. I do hire people that work out east. There's quite a few of them that work out east. There's some that work throughout the country. Then I do freelance writers. Eric has written a piece or so for us. So yeah, freelance writers. We look for people to contribute, just to try to continue publishing the game, promoting the game. It's always been kind of a hobby, work, love thing for me. I kind of more or less do it full time now. Not really paid, but but you know how that goes. You do GPL for the love of it, not for the big huge paycheck. So have some great times. Go to the Frozen Four every year. it's good. It's fun.
You know what I think I love most is that, you know, we'll see you at regionals and you'll have a camera with you. So you'll be taking photos, so you'll be working a little bit. But
Yep.
when it gets to Frozen 4, you're in fan mode. You do have the big party, but
Yep.
you're in fan mode, and you throw on a jersey. It could be any team. I've seen you in Duluth uniforms. I've seen you in all kinds of uniforms or jerseys. That's your time to just kick back and enjoy everything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to wear a jersey for the old WCHA. I'm still a diehard. I loved that tournament. I still miss it. I know there's a lot of people like, get over it. It's a Big Ten now, but I still love it. I still loved it. It was one of the funnest weekends of the year. I loved it more than the Frozen Four. Just getting everybody from the community together in St. Paul was amazing. And so, I'll kick back. I'll relax. For many years, we've hosted some parties and gatherings. You guys have been to them. And it's been a good time. We try to enjoy it. I do this last year, and maybe this year I'll probably doing some social media stuff. Just because a little short staff, but so get the march on, going on into the venue before the games, things like that, on video, and get it out on social media.
And Viggs, we see Tim a couple times a season. He'll be at Mariucci in his spot in the press box, and he doesn't really watch the game much, though, does he, Viggs? He's too busy coding and doing more improvements to his website, isn't he?
Yeah, I think during the Minnesota Ohio State game, had Tim been there in the second period, he would have been better off coding than watching the game, because the product on the ice, especially during the second period this last weekend on Friday, was not as entertaining as the coding that would be on Tim's computer in front of him.
I do have done a lot of coding, a lot of stuff in there. Just it's my chance to, one of the chances I have to both. I multitask. I watch two things at once. I listen, watch, feel, try to get a feel. If these guys will react, because they literally sit next to me. So
yes,
for years now. So,
well, one thing that Tim mentioned before, he came on, or before you got online, Viggs, is that something you've been talking about all season. Minnesota breaking out of the defensive zone has been brutal. And he even mentioned that a couple months ago, and it's still killing Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it on Friday night, a couple of those goals in the second period, just simple D-to-D passes not being executed, going right to Buckeyes sticks and ending up in the Gopher net. And, that's just been a problem all year. And I just think that there's a lack of confidence on the Gopher blue line right now, because it's been such a struggle. And when you're not playing confident, you start trying to almost play safe. You don't get very aggressive, and you don't play north quickly. And it just gives the other team time to get into your kitchen. And once they're in your kitchen, then they're making eggs at your own table. And then they're eating your food and going in the fridge for seconds. And that's kind of what's been happening to the Gophers this year.
They get stuck.
It's been a difficult process for them. And, the only way is through. I think we've seen some great play from Luke Middlestat. I think we've seen John Whipple play better, but they just need a little bit more help on the back end.
So this has not been a good year, Tim. And you're like, boy, I don't remember the last time they've been so bad. And they haven't really been this bad in our lifetime.
Nope. As a longtime fan, as a going back to the 80s, early 80s, going to at the Civic Center, going to those WCHA championships versus Northern Michigan and stuff like that, I cannot remember a team like this. I can't. They just, and it's not just they have trouble getting out of the zone. It's not just the defensemen. I think sometimes the forward aren't chasing down and putting pressure on the teams. They're not getting to the loose puck. They're a step behind always, and they're not getting it out. I cannot remember a team like this. The one thing that you always could count on was Gopher hockey being an elite program. Always count on they had their down years. Every once in a while they wouldn't make the NCAA tournament. A bad year would be 3 games above 500. it ain't happening this year. Sorry.
I would have to think historically, like looking at pairwise, this would be the worst record we've seen in the pairwise era, MPI era. It's got to be
without a doubt. Without a doubt. You were saying something. It's one of the worst. First time they've been below 400.
400 since the 71-72 season when they were at 250, and they've had 5 sub 500 seasons in 50 years, and this is one of them.
It's not fathomable. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, a team that has this level of tradition, that gets this many top prospects to struggle this much. But I mean, they're young, but that's only an excuse so long. I mean, this is the end of the year. You got to start putting something together, and get schooled by Ohio State the way they did. That was ugly. That was ugly.
And Biggs, we got fooled by that Wisconsin weekend. I mean, it was clear. We picked the sweep coming in. Even Cappy had, Minnesota get the sweep, and we learned pretty quickly. 6-2 loss was pretty bad Friday night. Saturday night, 2-1 loss, not as bad, but still a loss. And lo and behold, look out, Viggs. Ohio State's like 1 or 2 points behind them, and they have 2 games in hand over Minnesota.
Well, I think the Saturday game was probably more evident of what Minnesota's resume looks like this year. A team that's close to playing good hockey, or good enough hockey. They've beaten Michigan Tech. They beat North Dakota. They beat Denver. They beat Penn State. They swept Wisconsin. This team looks like they do have some qualities that allow them to compete. But then on Saturday, they're not able to get 5-on-5 goals. Without LJ Mooney, their power play is not very effective. And then they have 2 careless turnovers that both wind up in their net, by young players. We've got a breakout play that's right to the D on the other team, and they transition it quick, get a goal. We have a player going through the neutral zone, turning it over, quick transition the other way, ends up Minnesota goal. And that's kind of what's bitten this team this year, is they make these careless turnovers and hand the other team offense. This isn't getting grinded down in your defensive zone where a team just, manhandles you. This is you handing them offense and not be able to produce enough offense on your own to compete.
Yeah.
Especially on Saturday. Yeah, I thought Saturday they definitely, it wasn't that they ground down on their own. So I thought Friday night maybe they did. Maybe they got stuck. They couldn't do a thing on Friday night. But Saturday night, I think it was careless. They had big mistakes that were incredibly costly.
What did you hear about Mooney then this at media day today? Did anything?
Of course, Bob says, after availability, I'm going to go talk to the trainer, and it could be good, it could be bad. I won't know until then.
Come on.
I think Bob is trying to keep a whole card hidden.
Well, we had this. You got back. Says, nice questions at media today, Vigo. Bob was combative. Was he combative? I haven't listened. I put it out. I haven't listened to the whole thing through yet.
I mean, I think he's a little frustrated. This is probably the worst season he's ever had as a coach. And on his radio show, he mentioned, they got caught with their pants down with players leaving early. Today, he said they got kicked in the stones with players leaving early. And he kind of reiterated to me today, he's like, guys weren't coming into my office and saying, hey, these are going to be my last couple of weeks with this program. I just wanted to let you know, I'm not coming back. None of the guys who left made those intentions clear to the coaching staff. And so you look at the guys who left, really only Snuggers and Wood are guys who are having success. The rest of them are all struggling as professional hockey players. And I think the coaching staff saw that and the players didn't. And maybe their advisors and agents and, people talking to them also didn't see that. But it caught the Gophers shorthanded. Bob didn't really recruit for it to replace those guys. He was sticking with his pipeline. And he was kind of explaining that today. And I kind of pressed him a little bit about the transfer portal and CHL players. And, I think that's just not where Bob wants to go to solve all his problems. And as we see this year, they're struggling through it.
Tim, I see you nodding your head at that.
Well, I mean, it's amazing how you had to know that the CHL or slash OHL, the Canadian professionals were going to be available. The major juniors were going to be available. That was the writing was on the wall 10 months ago. There was the kid that committed to Arizona State. You knew this was happening. And to not have some sort of contingency plan involving CHL players just in case, Oliver Moore leaves. I didn't expect that. Maybe the guy I've been talking to in the Canadian juniors will come over and be a good fit. I know it's not the ideal thing. It's, I grew up in Pride on Ice. Every kid had to be a Minnesota kid. That's not the case anymore. It's not the case anymore. This is a completely different era with NIL and major juniors. It's a completely different universe. I'm stunned that they didn't have better contingency plans.
I do think, though, with the CHL player, it's hard to know if they're going to be 3-year players, which I think you need to have a majority of your roster be 3-year players for you to have success. And so if you bring in these CHL guys and they're 1 or 2 and done, and they're not first-round talents, that's a tough thing for a college program to invest the time in.
Absolutely. A two-year player is a very difficult. It's not the right length of time. The third year is very, very important. And the difference. Look at Snuggerud. If he would have left after 2 instead of the third, the team wouldn't have been the same. That third year was so critical. It's a lot to ask for. You're not going to get Leopold staying for his 4th year all of the time, but Snuggerud sticking around for that 3rd year is the difference, of making the NCAA tournament / being competitive for the Frozen Four, and not a lot of times 1 or 2 players is the key.
And I think if you look at Snuggerud specifically, his 3rd year, he started to carry the load. He held on to pucks. He scored in the big games. He was the go-to guy. He was the leader. And he wasn't that player as a freshman or sophomore.
No.
So I think that allows him to go to the NHL and be successful.
I thought he made a tremendous improvement in his ability to skate with the puck, see the ice, assists. He was a goal scorer when he first came in. Snuggy Snipes. At the end, after his 3rd year, he was way beyond that. He was a real leader. He was everywhere on the ice. He was very, very consequential player. And that's that 3rd year. That's the difference. And Oliver Moore could have been that player this year and should have been that player this year, but maybe in Renzel. I don't know. But,
I think you look at a player like Luke Middlestat, not saying he had a lot of options last year to sign. I don't know if Montreal knows what they have in the player they have the rights to, but he is a dominant player for Minnesota this year. There's a reason why they play him 30+ minutes a night. It's because he competes really hard. He controls the puck. He's physical. He battles. He wins the loose ones. They just wish they had more guys like him on the roster this year.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. I mean, back to back. Tim speaking the truth. We also had this jupe. Did I pick up an embellishment penalty Saturday night? No, I didn't. But Viggs, what do you think? Okay. Embellishment, Viggs.
He's overplaying it a little bit. Yeah. The stick's up, but you kind of see a little comical acting there going to the ice like he did.
And there's an audible as well when he gets hit for that second time. For me, I'm just more worried about getting hit with a stick there because I'm a little vulnerable there. But yeah, that was the big controversy Saturday night, Viggs. It was that whole thing right there. I
wish we would have had better video of Mooney getting hit along the Ohio State bench earlier.
Sorry, I did.
Big Ten didn't really show a great camera angle of what happened to him, but that was the big takeaway for the weekend for me, is losing LJ Mooney is a significant piece to lose. The power play without him on the ice looks completely different. You look at the goal they scored on Friday. That's just LJ drawing all the attention to himself, trading places with guys, getting the puck to Lamb having plenty of time and space to pick a corner. It's a different look with him on the ice.
So, Tim, we had that 28 game scoreless streak on shootouts. Amazing stat. You as a numbers guy probably were just like for 5 years, 2,000 days, whatever it was. But now we've got a stat for Minnesota. They're the number 1 power play in the country, and they're the number 63rd penalty kill.
How is that even possible?
I know. How is that possible?
I mean, I know some players are better defensively, and some of the skill doesn't match, but a lot of the aggressiveness in chasing down and anticipating when the puck is being bobbled and and putting pressure on them, a lot of that skill it translate to get you into the scoring goals on the power play, and I do not understand why they're so bad on the penalty kill. It's mind numbing. They have more skill than this. I don't get it.
And Viggs, it's just another one of those mind-boggling stats that Minnesota just has had the last couple of years. You had the shootout thing, and now you've got the penalty kill and the power play.
Yeah, the penalty kill has been a huge issue. We talked about lack of communication with the units early in the year. We talked about some of the goaltending maybe not being as good as you'd hope it would be on the penalty kill. Now they've kind of gone to Luka. It seems like the goaltending's been solidified, but they're still giving up some goals on the penalty kill here, even in the second half. And it's just a soft spot for this program right now. And it's hard to explain. They've got good coaching. They've got, the same kind of systems that they've run. They're just not very crisp with executing it.
And missing 28 straight penalty shots or
shootouts
attempts is also very difficult to explain. You think high level skills, you think it's there. Oh man, Minnesota would be great at shootouts. No, apparently not. Apparently they did 5.5 because it's really bad. It's a low probability thing. 28.
And we haven't really had any since the BU game or the BC game, Viggs. There's been no shootout, knock on wood, but
well, they've had a different problem this year, which has been the 3-on-3 OT. They have not looked very confident in those sessions. I think Denver was the only OT they've won, if I remember correctly, and they lucked out in that one as well. I think they gave away some good chances to the Pioneers and were able to weather the storm on those.
3-on-3s. They're not surviving 3-on-3s. They're losing those games.
Right.
A lot of times. Yeah. And it might be this again. I don't know if it. I look back. Is this a fast team this year, or they just don't seem to be on the puck very quickly? They don't seem to be. I mean, everybody talks about their speed. Am I missing something?
I think the skating on the back end is a little bit of a concern this year. I don't think it's as good as we've seen over the past couple of years. And these guys are a little bit slower on their retrievals. They're a little bit slower to jump into the play. They're a little bit slower to hold possession in the zone. And some of that's confidence and some of that's skating skill.
Yeah, to me, a lot of it seems like confidence too. Yeah, like you were saying, it's just they're not aggressive. They don't have the confidence to chase somebody down and be on somebody quickly. And I think that shows up. And they play very tentative. And 3-on-3, you play tentative, you're in trouble. There's a lot.
Bob and I sometimes talk about touching the stove. If you touch the stove against Michigan, it's really hot. Well, I kind of feel like the Gopher defense are looking at one of those electric cooktops. and they're not exactly sure which burners are on. So rather than like touch it anywhere, they're just kind of standing back and going, I know it's a stove. Not sure where it's hot. I'm just going to be very careful.
Yeah.
The one that's glowing is hot.
Yeah.
Or the one that's on fire.
You couldn't have said it better there, Viggs. I think that's a great explanation. Or maybe, is this a stove? I'm not sure. Is this induction? Does it get hot? Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
You want to make sure you have confident chefs in the kitchen.
There. I didn't know how far it could go. I'm a huge Gopher fan. You guys know it. I'm passionate about them, but there's just something a little off. So
there's that Eastern bias. Jeez, I can't believe you're so biased.
Yeah.
We'll just lump you in with Jim and Ed and Derek.
Yeah,
it's the same viewpoint. So.
Well, we'll hear a little more from Tim in a bit here, but Viggs, we need to talk about Cascade CBX Sport and this great deal they've got going on. And Kinger himself is challenging us to get more people to try out this new deal.
I'm not saying it's a contest, but we like to win here at GPL, and we're having a hard time seeing the wins everywhere. So we'd like to see one here with Cascade CBX Sport. You know, I'm coaching my kids these days. I'm active. I'm playing some men's league stuff. I need a little of this Cascade CBX Sport. You know, I'm a little bit of a believer here. I rub a little bit on. It's got that cool menthol feel. I know it's NFF certified. You know, there's no banned substances in there, so I'm not cheating anyways. It's not going to impact my life, but it's going to make me feel good. So visit CascadeCBXsport.com/team, and for $5 with free shipping, you can get a sample jar of this stuff on the left, a 300 milligram sample jar. And, you know, they're in startup mode. They're in hungry entrepreneurship, and they want your business. Try it out. It's free shipping. It's $5. It's going to make you feel good. Check it out. Trust the shield. Stay on the field.
Trust the shield right there, Viggs. We've got you got yours right there too.
Yeah.
You got the big one.
I've got a big one here, and then this is the sample one. I took a puck to the leg in my men's league game the other day, so I've been rubbing a little of this on there. Feels good. I got a little sore wrist from shooting pucks. It works there too.
All right, then. So let's bring Tim back in here. Vigo, your top 20 this week. Not much is going on except the big old Michigan State flip-flop.
Just a flip. You know, they had the duel in the D, and Michigan State came out on top. You know, I do think in these big games, Michigan State's the more reliable program. You know, I think Nightingale does just a little bit better job putting in structure, discipline than Nerado at Michigan. Michigan is very, very talented. They have the ability to score lots of goals, but as the season comes to a close, sometimes that style gets them in trouble.
Tim, Michigan State still needs to prove it in the NCAA tournament.
They seem to have not found their way to the Frozen Four the last 3 years now, and they should have been there at least once. You know, Michigan finds a way to slip in here and there. They had a really good run there for a bit. Michigan State absolutely needs to prove it. They have the bullet, the dot on them now. They're the one in the poll. The one in the MPI. They need to prove it.
Big Ten needs to prove it.
Oh, Big Ten needs to prove it too.
The Big Ten, since it's come around, no champions. That NCHC office seems to have that engraver working every single year. Big Ten's waiting for their first.
Michigan State's the last one to win.
That was St. Louis back in the day, and that was a miracle comeback too. And in regulation against BC, they scored.
That was a great game. That was a great game.
Phenomenal.
The rest of your poll, it's kind of like top 10 and everyone else, isn't it, Viggs? Top 10 it's been that way for a while.
Yeah, I think I flipped North Dakota and Western maybe in my poll here, moved them around a little bit. You know, North Dakota had the road series at UMD, lost in overtime one night, came back strong the next night. So that's a good squad. Western Michigan lost an overtime game at Miami, but came back and won. So Those are the other teams there. Providence is looking like the top team in Hockey East.
Yeah.
I've probably been higher on them than most all year. Even when their MPI has dipped a little bit, I've still kind of held the faith in that squad and Nate Lehman there. But yeah, I'm a little outside the MPI on schools like Dartmouth and Cornell from time to time, but Cornell is putting together a good second half here.
Dartmouth has slipped a ton. They're falling apart. They're definitely their strength of schedules is gonna play a big role in whether they even make the NCAA tournament.
Tim, how much longer will your USCHO poll matter?
Oh, does it matter at all?
Well, it's true. I mean, I keep thinking these polls are getting less and less important. At the beginning of the season, it's kind of popularity contest a little bit. But
it's definitely a popularity contest. Yeah.
But
at the beginning of the season. Yeah.
Should we even be paying attention to it? Is it just people that like it? I mean, what do you think? I mean, you've been doing this poll a long time.
So it does like Vig, if you go back to what Vig just said, you downplay Dartmouth a little bit because you have a sense that they're kind of
here's the MPI, by the way,
a paper tiger. They're not that strong. And it doesn't take much for them to free fall. And where the pollsters, what they try to do is anticipate that. They try to say, you know what, they're not that strong. They might be 10-0 to start the season, but they're not going to be there for long. One or two losses and it's going to free fall. And that's kind of what happened here. This is the MPI.
This is the NPI.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see how Dartmouth free fell quite a bit. They were locked in. Look at Wisconsin. I mean, they were locked into 2 for the longest time, and it free fell. I mean,
we can chart Dartmouth here. Yeah, there's Dartmouth. On their ranking. Obviously, they were low at first, then they were up at number 1 for a while, and then have just kind of sunk down. They've recovered a little bit, Vigs, though.
Yeah, but one of the things I look for with these teams is I'm looking at strength of schedule.
Yep.
And, Dartmouth was in the 50s for strength of schedule. And that's just not going to cut it when you start dropping a few games. You have to be playing strong teams. Like even Minnesota, if they could have split a few more of these weekends, they probably would have been fine. But the fact is that they were getting swept at home and they just couldn't pull out any road wins. That really hurt them in the big scheme of things.
You're absolutely right.
Where's Minnesota's at 38 right now?
Like versus Penn State, Michigan, things like that would have made a world of difference. You can't afford not to sweep Ohio State, more or less get swept by them. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, Minnesota has the strongest strength of schedule. They've traditionally had a very strong strength of schedule. I think I polled for the athletic, the SID, Scott. I polled the last so many years, 10 years worth of strength of schedules for them for one of the releases, and they traditionally have a very strong schedule. And this year it was showing that it was going to be strong. It does matter. You just need some winning percentage. I know it looks like it's a lot smaller and less important, but the winning percentage is very important. It's 0.25 times your winning percentage and 75% of the strength of schedule. But you got to have some winning percentage, and 8 games or 7 games below 500, not going to cut it.
Well, let's talk about MPI, the new NCAA percentage index. Tim, it replaced your beloved pairwise this year. Does it offend you at all?
It was cool. It was a neat thing. I think the only thing that really, it replaced it because there was a big argument that they wanted better math. It is a better statistical process. I am a mathematician, and it is a better statistical process. The pairwise, what made it at least somewhat interesting to me is that it wasn't just a ranking system. For last year, the women's side of things, They used the MPI, they replaced the RPI with the MPI and still did a pairwise comparison and ranked out all the teams with that. And what that allowed is for teams to earn it on the ice. And that's one of the things I liked about it, but a lot of people were critics of that. For example, if you beat a team head to head 4 times, you should win the comparison with that team. And it did happen even last year. There was an ECAC team, I don't know, it was St. Lawrence or something like that, that did win the opponent, and it dragged the other team down in the overall rankings. But they were like 40th in the pairwise, yet they dragged a 9th place team down. And they didn't like that. A lot of people, they thought that was bad math. No, that's called earning it on the ice, in my opinion. That's the only thing I don't like about it, is that, that's the one thing I did like about the pairwise and not necessarily about the MPI. They're going to constantly play with the numbers and all of that. It's not that different, all said and done. When everything settles down, it will not be that much different. It takes a lot longer to stabilize, because I think it's really dependent on winning percentage. The strength of schedule takes a little bit longer to stabilize, and the winning percentage will then eventually take over. But I always described the pairwise as a minor correction to the RPI. And that's really what it was. If you looked at it, they almost lined up perfectly. And now we're just using a strict ranking system.
We got a question from Matt Dietz here for you, Tim. It seems like the home road weight in NPI is killing the Gophers. Cratch has Minnesota ranked at 25, whereas NPI has it down at 38. Why such a big difference in rank? Cratch puts probably more into the strength of schedule, does it?
Cratch puts more weight on the strength of schedule. Absolutely. I do think that the MPI's current formula is very win percentage driven. I think if you're going to ask me, you had asked me before if I thought anything could change. So the coaches, they want a little bit more stability there. There's some that are more concerned about it than others. I think overall it's going to end up being very similar, but I do think even though it's 25% for winning percentage, it might be too much. It may need to go to like 20% and 80% strength of schedule, and then it will align closer to Cratch. And the reason being is that teams like Dartmouth that go off to 10-0, there's no way to move them off the number 1 overall.
Yep.
They just can't, because their win percentage is so strong. I know, it's only 25% of the thing, but it's actually quite meaningful. It's the thing you control the most, and your strength of schedule at the end of the season doesn't move. It just a little bit, but your win percentage that has its, every win matters, and every loss also matters a lot.
Personally, Viggs, the favorite part I used to like that was part of the pairwise back in the day was this last 16 games or last games, because it seemed like it helped some of those teams that were getting hot at the right time of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I think the pairwise was what we got used to, and you could really easily tell like what a team needed to do to improve their ranking in the pairwise. I think it's a little less clear in the MPI about what scenarios will help you other than winning. You got to win games. But I think in the pairwise world, it was easier to see, well, if they can do this, they'll flip this comparison, they'll rise above this team. I think it's a little more opaque now with the MPI.
Yeah, they just need to move their MPI up. And to flip a comparison, sometimes in the old way is if you beat them head to head in the the WCHA semifinal or the NCHC or the Big Ten semifinal, you would line up with that team and you beat them head to head. You could flip the comparison even if you didn't have the MPI. So that's part of the beauty of it, but it's a lot harder for people to see through just moving the MPI numbers up. They have to get a better MPI. Bottom line, that's it. That's all. That all matters. One number.
Tim, what do you feel about the quality win bonus component of the MPI? I look at that right now, and Minnesota has I think it's either the 5th or 6th highest quality win bonus of any team in college hockey. It's obviously Michigan, Michigan State, Denver, North Dakota, and then I think it's Minnesota next.
Yeah, I think that they may have set it too low on the 50. So it's any team above 51, you get a percent of the difference added, a weighted percent of the difference added to your total. So it's a weighted number. So if for example, you beat Michigan, who's around 58-ish, and it's 58 minus 51, that's 7. That and then you weight that into that number gets weighted into how many games you have, and it comes down to a number. It needs to probably go up to about 53 or so, 50, 52. So at 53, that they're going to tweak little things. They're going to play with little things. They always do. One of the most frustrating things every year was, okay, what changes did they make this year? Who came up with this idea? I mean,
well, the thing is, would they change it, or is it set for this year? I mean, they have it, the system
set for this year. It's set
okay.
For
So
this
nothing's going to change this season. So no weird little thing. It could change next year, but everything is set.
Yep, coaches convention. That's
Gotcha.
The only changes can be made at the coach conventions. So the meeting is coming out of the week after the Frozen Four or 2 weeks after the Frozen Four, wherever it is in Naples. That's when that'll come out. There'll be some news stories about it, and then I'll forget what they are by the time I have to implement them. And then I'm like, what were those again? Okay, they moved it to 53. Some of them are easy changes. The weights are a little probably too extreme. Back to your previous person questions, the weights are probably a little extreme. I think the win overemphasis on win percentage, and I think they played a lot with overtime weights this year too. They played around a lot with overtime weights in the MPI, and that's affecting things, especially if you lose in overtime. It's probably not helping you as much as it once did. That's probably burning. That's another answer to the question earlier. Sorry, I didn't get that one out earlier, but that there's a lot of little things that are headwinds right now for Minnesota.
I think me as like a personal fan of college hockey, I'm okay with diminishing 3-on-3 OT as a way to award points. I just think it's such a different game in college hockey, and it's kind of it's entertaining. It's fun for the fans, but I don't think it really shows you who the better team is. And then I do think you want to be rewarding teams that play strong schedules and have success in those games. And I think, increasing the quality win bonuses and figuring out strength of schedule, I think is really important, because you don't want teams to just isolate themselves to an easy schedule. I think the coaches really went after Penn State initially for playing all those home games and not scheduling tough games. And, this was one way to maybe try to do that. But I think they've created this opportunity for ECAC schools, and specifically the Ivies, to play a small schedule. And if they win a lot of games, you're going to see these weird rankings in the MPI. Dartmouth is losing some games, so they're dropping down. But if they weren't, they'd probably still be like a 1 or 2 seed.
They easily could be a 1 or 2 seed. Now that they're a good team, they're just, would I take them over a Duluth or a Denver? Hell no.
But I would like to see them play a Duluth or a Denver.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? They need to play a top team in the Big Ten or NCHC for you to have any validity to their schedule. And they just don't do that.
Well, no, not the non-conference games are so they're done in these bunches, and that doesn't help you really stack the conferences up very well either. You get all this rash at the beginning of the season, and then let's do these holiday tournaments, and where some of the players may or may not be around, and so I don't know how it gauges, how accurate that gauges. There's the conferences are pretty isolated, and it's and the Ivy is the most isolated. There's such few games that are played outside of the ECAC Ivy for them.
You know what we need? We need 3 stretches in the season where you play non-conference games. You play some conference games to start the year, maybe. You play some non-conference games. You get back into conference. You have another non-conference stretch. more conference games, non-conference, finish with your conference.
And play into the second or third week of December, and then maybe just take the end of December off.
Oh my God. This Penn State 25-week vacation. I mean, was it 9 weeks?
It was 9 weeks. A long time.
It was 9 weeks or something like that. 6, 9, it was long. That was long.
And then they get back into the flow and players get in trouble. There's too much time off.
Perfect transition, Vigs. McKenna's playing this weekend. Nobody's disciplining anybody.
I think that's what we expected. We talked about it on our show. It's like the schools don't want to get involved in police their own players. It's not a on-ice discipline thing where the conference would step in. So we didn't.
The felony charge
not surprising.
Once the felony charge was dropped, it was all of any disciplinary had to come from the school because the conference wasn't going to do it. And this is what was going to happen. He's going to play.
Well, we'll see how that goes. They go to Michigan this week, don't they, Vigs? It's going to be not easy for them. And I'm guessing the children of Yost will be giving Mr. McKenna a very difficult time.
They will be quite entertaining, I'm sure.
That'll be fun to watch.
Oh, boy, I can't wait, actually. All right, we need to move on to this week, Vigs. But before we do that, we need to talk about your place, Cub Foods, the big game this weekend. You talked about this lovely wings you did, and you got all your stuff at Cub, didn't you?
Sure did. Love going to Cub. It's real close. I know they're going to have stuff in stock. They've got great deals. Check out your Cub app. You can order for pickup. You can get delivery. And when I go down there, I know I'm going to get good quality stuff at a great price. I got my loaded baked potato soup tonight. A lot of ingredients from Cub. It turned out to be a delicious warm meal. If I was looking for some beverages, a lot of Cubs have liquor stores now where you can get your beer, wine, your spirits. If you're looking for some of those THC drinks, if you're California sober, check them out. Cub is one of us. They support our podcast. They support Gopher Athletics, Dickeytown athletes. And, it's a good local company. Shop happy. Shop at Cub.
Tim, he just loves to tease us with these recipes and the things he's doing and all the stuff he gets at Cub. And, last week you talked about, I think your wings were marinating at the time by this time last week.
Yep. I do like a brown sugar salt brine with some spices, some garlic, some jalapenos.
Are you
spice blend?
Flash frying them, or are you smoking them? What are you doing?
No. So then after they've brined for like 24 hours, I take them out and I get them dry with paper towels and I put them on, sheet trays with racks on there. So they get dried out in the fridge overnight. So another 12 hours just sitting there. And then I coat them in a little bit of baking powder and cornstarch, toss them up in a bowl. And then I roast them in the oven. And I start them at 250 for about 90 minutes. And then I finish them at like 425 to get a little bit crispy skin. And toss them again in a bowl with some buffalo wing sauce or barbecue sauce or whatever Asian
and then and then you teased us with what your soup tonight?
Yeah, the soup was good. I had the green onion that was fresh from Cub. I had the red onion. I had the jalapeno. I had the Land O'Lakes cheddar cheese. I had a little Land O'Lakes cream in there. It was delicious.
Wow. Yeah. You do this right after I've eaten and it still looks good. I'm like, I want that.
Yeah, you shop happy, you eat happy. It's great.
Oh. Well, this weekend, Notre Dame, Vigs. Peacock only for television. Otherwise, you're going to listen to Wally and Pat on the radio. Peacock always does a great job streaming. Obviously, they're doing a great job with the Olympics right now. But I'm still not picking a sweep. There's no way. I don't trust this team.
I don't think you can. The one silver lining is I think Notre Dame is not the rock fight team of the past under Jeff Jackson.
A different team, yeah.
This team has been giving up a lot more goals, which I think if you're Minnesota, you're hoping to play a team that doesn't have a lot of structure. Because when they get structure, it forces your D to play make a lot. And if they're not comfortable, that becomes kind of your Achilles heel. So it should be a better matchup for Minnesota. We just got to see if they can get out of their own way a little bit.
But, you know, Notre Dame went into Wisconsin last weekend and gave Wisconsin everything they could handle, Tim.
They sure did. that was a tough. Wisconsin, I don't know what's going on with them right now. They're on a tailspin. I think made a lot of Gopher Nation say, "Oh, we look like we could be back." You know, I think it had a little bit more to do with Wisconsin, and Notre Dame gave them everything they could handle. This could be challenging for Minnesota. I do like Vig's comment about this is not the Notre Dame team that was in a rock fight in path where you would struggle to defend, move the puck at all, and in the lanes plugged up. This team you can score some goals against, but you know, if Mooney's not playing, I think the Gophers could be in trouble.
Oh, there's I don't know what to think.
He doesn't play. And
the thing is, Viggs, you know, if Gophers sweep this weekend, they're supposed to sweep. Notre Dame's terrible.
They are terrible.
They have one win in the Big Ten. Do they get win number 2 this weekend?
It's like, how did Ohio State give up 6 goals in Notre Dame? It's like, what happened that night? I should watch that back as a recipe. But I do think this is a weekend for Minnesota to show what they've got. You know, the schedule gets harder after this weekend. You know, they will have the week off to follow this one. Motzko gave the team a day off on Tuesday this week to try to get them rested up to get through this stretch. I think he was kind of hoping he could have got LJ back today for practice. I still think it's an unknown whether or not he's going to be able to play this weekend. But as Tim said, you know, he's such a key player for this team. You know, they look so different with him on the ice on the power play. And I thought when Motzko put together Lamb, Zemer, and Mooney, he had an elite line.
Yes.
You just saw the energy they played with, and it carried over into the other lines, you know, seeing that effort on the ice. And without that, you know, this team's a struggle right now.
And when they moved Mooney to the quarterback of the power play, that power play looked elite. It looked really good.
It was.
The day they did that, the first time they did that, you were like, where did this come from? I mean, it looked completely different. And without him, I don't know. I think he's too much of a big difference maker. We'll find out if he plays.
Do we know what happened? I mean, upper body, lower body. Do we know anything?
We haven't heard anything from the university on what happened there. You know, he didn't really see the hit coming. It was kind of from the side. He was kind of hunched over when he got hit in the boards. You know, he tried to finish the shift. He didn't look very comfortable out there and went off as soon as he could and just never came back in that game.
We don't know, folks.
I'm not saying LJ Mooney is Quinn Hughes, but on the power play, he has these like moments of Quinn Hughes edge work and escape moves and confidence. And you don't see that all the time, you know, the full 200 feet. But when they're in the offensive zone on the power play and there's a little bit more space, Mooney shows that escapability. And it's just super impressive and game changing.
He causes the defense to move out of position, Tim. I mean, you see him, he'll hold that puck and tease he's going to do something, and he pulls a guy right over out of position.
Yep, exactly. Absolutely. And then he's looking this way, draws the attention over that way, and the pass goes back that way for a wide open tap in. And the guy's standing alone, nobody near him. The lane is clear, and they haven't moved the puck that well on the power play since his cousin probably. So
if I was a college hockey player, I would want to play with him on the power play because it would make me look very, very good.
Yeah, well, you're wide open You have a clear line. There's nobody near you. He just opens up lane. The defense, like Jupiter said, they get way out of position. They don't know what he's going to do. His edge work.
Yeah, if you're looking for a power play right shot D in college hockey in the portal, you probably just show clips of Mooney on the power play and say, "Hey, opportunity there."
Ooh, I hope they don't. Are you suggesting he would go in the portal? Was that
no. Attracting players out of the portal.
Would you say a right-handed D?
Yeah, that's what they could use.
Could that be Levi Harper?
Well, he's already committed. And
I know, but
I think there's a decent chance he comes. But you want options there. You can't just have one right-handed D, as we see this year with the roster, with Leo Gruba being the only right-handed D on the roster, has created some problems,
to say the least. It's frustrating. Okay, Tim, we know you're Mr. USCHO, but you're a former Gopher fan. Give us your picks. Well, you try to be as neutral as possible. You do.
I do, but
neutral, but your heart is still there. Yes.
Oh, my heart is there. The team I watch first is the Gophers, and then I watch other teams. So, yeah.
Okay. Predict this weekend. How many points do the Gophers get?
In terms of schedule points, out of the 6.
Out of the 6. 4. So like an overtime or shootout loss and a win?
Overtime loss.
I'm going to pick.
I
know. I'm going to pick split. I think Friday night might be the low of the season. Vigs, they get beat like 4-5-1. And it's as low. Mote.
Mote, can we skip predictions at this point?
Oh, sorry, kid. Oh, hey, Mote, you just made my day. Thank you. That was great. I'm picking split. What are you picking, Vigs?
I mean, I said I wasn't going to do it, but 6 points for the Gophers.
Oh, what the heck!
I have a feeling Mooney. I have a feeling Mooney plays.
Deutsch is going to kill you.
I have a feeling Mooney plays.
Cub Foods kicked in.
Yep.
I swear, because what we get a message from Cappy? He's like, "What are the idiots who picked that?" or something like that, or maybe it was Deutsch or somebody, Brian Deutsch.
There were a lot of texts.
We
heard you.
All right, I like that.
I just think the style that Notre Dame plays is going to be helpful for this Gopher team. And I just look at like their schedule and their wins. Like they have beaten good teams. Like there is talent on this roster, and they've got good goaltending.
Yeah.
Stay out of the penalty box.
It's hard to trust them. Prove it to me. Like they thought they did against Wisconsin. Who knows? Figs, you got anything in the hopper? I know you're probably keeping. I know you probably keep track of attendance. You like to do that story every year. Wisconsin had about 2,000 no-shows each game, but it was still good crowds. Do we have an idea what attendance is looking like this year?
Not on the scan tickets yet. I usually try to save that for the end of the year.
Yes.
So I will get to that at the end of the year. I'm trying to get all the coaching contracts of Big Ten coaches. Some of the schools have been more prompt than others, just for a little bit of comparison about financials across the Big Ten. And I'm starting to do my deep dive on just where this program has been at since Bob's been the head coach. We have not seen the program at this point in a long time, but the previous couple of years were pretty good. I know people are still frustrated that they didn't win in Tampa, but this program has been to a couple Frozen Fours. They've made a lot of NCAA tournaments. I don't think they're going to be down for long.
Well, the team didn't win in Tampa, Tim, but the USCHO party in Tampa was top notch.
Thank you. That was a good one. That was fun. That was fun.
It was great weather. Oh, actually, the St. Paul one a couple years ago we had some pretty decent weather for that too. So,
and I think Vigs managed to not go to either.
I stopped in Tampa. I was there in Tampa.
You were in Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I'd give you a dig, but
I think he was okay. You were at the Thursday game in St. Paul, Viggs, but then you were off to Cabo.
Yeah, I was off to Cabo.
You missed the second game.
Yep. Funny enough, I saw Bob Motzko on my way back from Cabo that time. So
he did.
Yeah, we both needed a little getaway.
What was it in like the line
The
for
customs line?
Customs line going back and forth. He kept running into Bob.
Yeah, we just kept. Yep. Pretty funny.
You having a big party in Vegas this year that we won't probably be there for?
We're probably not this year.
It would be so expensive.
It would be so expensive, and there's just so much to do that it's not planned at this point in time. So it's the first one, and I can't remember when.
Well, you just gotta get your media member with the most Marriott points. Hope they get like a nice little villa, and then everybody can just come to that room, and it'll be like an old WCHA hotel room party.
Well, you could also just take over a bar too. You could just do that for fun.
We could take over a bar and just invite everybody to join together at a specific
just not the
bar.
free drinks.
Just not the free drinks. Yeah. We would back in the day, early days of USCHO, we would take over we'd have 2-3 hotel rooms. I'd actually rent an entire hotel room, and that would be the party room. I'd have one extra one for the whole time.
Oh,
and we'd fill the bathtub with beer, and we'd be 40 people in the room. The security would come. That was a good time. We're getting old though.
We are definitely getting old. Well, Tim, thanks for being on a regular show. You up for a little overtime here?
Yeah, sure. If you'll have me.
Well, we'll definitely have you. Well, we thank Tim for coming on the show. I mean, obviously, USCHO, 30 years old. It's just this little site he's been running forever, and we're a little behind you. I think we're at just 22, 23 years.
That's a long time still.
It is a long time. It is a long time. So, but we'll thank Tim for coming on. 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. We're off next week because the team is not playing. So make sure that you're not tuning in next week because nobody's going to be here. But after that, we've got Ben Holden coming on the show before the Michigan series that he's going to be covering. So be sure to tune in to that for 2 weeks from now. For those of you who want to stay on for overtime, stay tuned for that. For the rest of you, we'll catch you next week. 2 weeks, not next week, on the GPL podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and get notified each time we go live or post a video. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate our show and leave a review. For those of you watching live, you know what's next. It's Vigo's Beverage of the Week. It's time for overtime. Oh, we're going back to the dark.
A little bit darker this week. This is a barrel-aged Scotch ale from Revolution Brewery.
That's a great can. Look at that.
Yeah. Scotch ale. So you got Gravedigger Billy, aged in bourbon barrels, a little bit smoky, a little bit of malt. Smells good. Back to a big beer. It did feel like the Gophers are digging graves for everybody last weekend, right? So,
yeah, it is going to be 23 years because it was the 2003 Frozen Four when Pride on Ice went down during the Frozen Four, and there's nothing that Matt and Kyle could do because they were in Buffalo. And everyone always asks me, where did the name Jupiter come from? My very first Jupiter was on the original USCHO message board when nobody used their real names. Everyone had a fake name because, I don't want to use my real name. Nobody ever does that. So it was the original USCHO board that you had created.
Yeah, I created that one. Yeah,
and then you killed it off. And luckily I did get my name back again. I've had it there ever since. The funny thing was that I think it was a year or two ago. I'm like, geez, I haven't been on your website in a while. And you sit there and watch me have to reset my password. I'm like, can't you just get me in quicker? Don't you have any connections?
Nope. I pay somebody to monitor it. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, your site's been around your site's legendary, dude. It is.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a thing of passion. I mean, college hockey is not. It doesn't pay a lot of bills, so you got to be passionate about it. As you guys know, you guys are incredibly passionate about Gopher hockey, and so am I. But I'm it doesn't pay a lot of bills. It's a matter of just have your heart, and I will continue to try to grow the sport. I mean, I don't really have a great business model for us, Joe. I want to grow the sport, and I feel in our own little ways over 30 years we've done that. We've helped. So,
and I want to say I've known you for about 20 of those years, and I appreciate you coming on our show. You came on our show the very first season, and like I said, you don't do this. I personally thank you for coming on the show, because like most people don't know who you are. Some do. People close to college hockey know who you are. Most would come down, if you were in the press box, to come down and they wouldn't have a clue who you are when you're there.
Yeah, like the first time Scott met me, the current SID.
Well, okay, people.
Don't you know who I am?
Sometimes he just shows up and he's hoping that there's someone downstairs that knows him and gives him a credential, because God forbid he actually called ahead and get his name on a list.
I've been
Don't
better.
You know who I am? Exactly.
Don't you know who I am? I just say it all jovial, innocent, all that stuff. But no, I've gotten better this year, but I'm definitely behind the scenes. People will know, the Jim Conleys of the world, and that's why we get the Eastern bias. He's on Nesson, and he's on Hockey's broadcasts, and and then our podcasts, and we have a lot of Eastern people on the podcasts. The Western, a little harder to cover because of the distance. I mean, there's quite a few Minnesota teams, but virtually none of them in the same conferences anymore. They're spread out, so it's hard to gain a good little mecca here, where Boston, there's a lot of teams in that near area. So there's a little more of our volunteer base out there.
I've been seeing more Jim Rosevold a lot this year. He's been showing up more, and he wasn't there on Saturday. He was there Friday. He goes, 8 o'clock's too late. I'm like, way to be a team player, dude. So do you know who sat in the USCHO seats in the press box on Saturday?
Viggs?
Frank Mazzacco did.
Oh, awesome, Frank.
Frank came and visited and was up in the press box all evening. Vigo, you were right next to him the whole game. That must have been a kind of a joy just to BS with Frank for hours.
Yeah, although he wanted to listen to Jack and Wally most of the game, so he had his earbuds in like I usually do, and I was, trying to chirp about the game, and he was very focused. He was trying to help them out, but always fun to sit next to Frank for a game and take it in. He did tell me early in the year when he showed up that he would not be showing up for free to go for hockey availability, and then it came out that he was doing the TV. And so when I saw him at availability this last week, I was like, hey, is there something I need to know? Are you filling in for somebody? Are you on alert? Are you like Maverick and Top Gun? He's like, no,
he's bored.
I just wanted to come catch the game. I was like, what a game to pick. What a game to pick,
Yeah, the Ohio State game. That was not exactly the game to pick. One of the games I showed up to this year, was it you, Jupiter, that said or something like that? I showed up the Long Island game.
Oh, that's the game you were at?
You came to that game?
Oh,
yeah. Well, I live 200 miles away, so I haven't went to as many Bemidji games this year. I live closer to Bemidji than I do to any place else.
Mm-hmm. You're in the middle of nowhere now.
Oh yeah.
I hope you've got reliable internet at home.
Yes, I do. I'm thinking that this fish camp has decent internet. It's been flaky the last couple nights, but it seems to be good.
You're pretty good tonight. You froze up a little while ago when you were talking, but your voice came through. That's all that matters. We don't need to see your ugly mug the whole time.
Oh, no doubt. Hey, I'm sporting an 1980 hat, so awesome purple hat. So hopefully the Team USA does good tomorrow.
Well, let's go with Team USA women. Abby Murphy, man, like someone was saying on Twitter, if anyone's going to start a war between U.S. and Canada, it's going to be Abby.
What an instant! 4 penalties. She drew 4.
And that pass she set up, that second goal of yesterday, Viggs. Wow.
Hey, great players memorize what's happening to them on the ice. Like, they don't need to constantly be looking where they want to move the puck. They just have taken enough pictures that they know where people are going to be. And I talk this to players all the time. It's just like, the more that you are aware of what's happening on the ice, the easier the game becomes. But if you're too focused on yourself and your individual play and the individual puck that you're on right now, you're going to miss so much.
That's awesome. I never thought of it that way. That very insightful. Very good.
Cool. Look at this.
She knows what's going on out there.
Jason Bryant, only been around college hockey the last 4 years. Really enjoy the USCHO stuff. Your database guy, Lee, is the man.
Oh, awesome. I'll have to let him know.
Somebody says, of course you've been on USCHO longer than GPL. We didn't. I want to say Pride and Ice was probably around the same time it was.
Yes.
USCHO. Pride and Ice was there. Yep. I think you guys were all at the U at the same time, actually.
A lot of us. Yes. Synergy. I don't know if that was John that did the football thing, that did that back in the day. I don't remember who did the Pride and Ice one.
Matt and Kyle Barron.
Kyle Barron. Okay. They're not involved in anything anymore.
No. We saw him we saw Matt was at the hockey game we played with Nick Angel a couple years ago, kind of that 20-year anniversary Vigs that we did. Matt showed up to that. I've seen him a couple times at the arena over the last few years. Everyone's got kids, and it's like they had that. It was on a server at their house in Eden Prairie. It was all man.
Something with duct tape and wires for the longest time for GPL, and
no, I've been on shared servers and VPNs. I don't need the huge power you do, but it's always been legit sites. And I literally just
it in a lot of hat one, the software is completely different. And getting our dependence off of WordPress directly. We're headless on WordPress. That's part of the big project you saw me doing this with. That and in the new like cloud services like Amazon and all that, so cheap. You don't have to. It's just all virtual. You don't have any servers anymore.
It's cheap to host it, but any bandwidth will cost you a fortune. And we have a lot of bandwidth. I mean, you'd be surprised just hosting this podcast, just the audio file for the audio podcast. That's a lot of bandwidth. That's not something you should put on a cloud service because they're going to charge you a ton for data.
So I still have some brought and signed stuff. I should send you another one. You can. Do you do fundraisers still with that kind of stuff?
Not so much anymore.
You did for a while.
Will we do the annual end of year fundraiser, or we haven't done that for a while?
I haven't done that in a while.
Okay.
Yeah. You're making too much money off of Cub Foods and the read-throughs. Yeah.
Cascade CBX. Tim, I know you need one of these. $5.
From my fishing injuries.
Hey, maybe it'll bring you a little luck. You just get a little here and you just get a little dab, rub it in there. Smells good, feels good.
It cools so much, Viggs. I can't believe how much it cools.
I'm telling you, I blocked this puck this week.
I would do it, but I'm not taking off my pants to put it on my knee right now. Though that would make a great video. People start throwing up all over the place. So what do you think about the Olympics coming up, Viggs? Canada's by far the favorite for the men.
By far the most pressure on Canada, as we've seen with them in the World Juniors all the time. There's it's a microscope. And the difference is that Canada has guys like Crosby and McKinnon leading their team, and those guys seem to handle pressure better than most. And we've seen USA beat Canada in like preliminary round stuff year after year, but when it comes to like a gold medal game, they've got ice in their veins, and it's just been too much for them to overcome. We will see. This is the best U.S. team ever. It is, but it's not like that NHL break from last year. This is IIHF. They're not gonna mess around with any of this fighting. They will lock that down. I don't think we're gonna see that kind of game, are we? No, we won't see that kind of game, but I think there's plenty of skill on the U.S. roster to play a clean hockey game and be successful. Like, they don't have to intimidate with fights and stuff to be a good hockey team. You know, when you've got a second line that's Austin Matthews, Matt Boldy, and Jake Gensel, and then the line behind that with like Tage Thompson and can't remember who's on it right now, but like those are good players. And, you know, Bennington, as Andrew Carlson saying here, not the most reliable player for. You know what? He came through in that championship game last year. He did. And goaltending is very fickle, but U.S. seems to have an edge there. And like we've seen with Quinn Hughes, you know, he's a dynamic player. And then you see Faber and Slavin. Those are good players. So I think the U.S. is going to lean heavy on them. It'll be fun to watch, though. Well, Slavin and Faber were like the best defensemen by far in that tournament. Right. They played just really well together. Yep.
Didn't there read home got brought up?
You cut out there a little bit.
I thought maybe Lacombe had brought. I read someplace that Lacombe.
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah, he's in because
he's on the roster.
Yeah.
And he was on the second power play unit too, I guess, in practice this week. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, what a path he's been on since his senior year at Shattuck to play 4 years at the U and now sign a $9 million a year contract for the Ducks as like their leader and now making an Olympic team. I mean, I remember Lacombe's freshman year, people were like, who the heck is this guy? And why is he playing defense and not wing?
And he didn't know who Paul Martin was.
And he didn't know who Paul Martin was.
But, he didn't know? Oh, I didn't know that.
He didn't know his history.
Oh,
he was
Paul Martin.
Awesome. He was the student coach, I think, then, wasn't he? Technically being.
Yeah, he was a grad coach. And they're like, oh, he's pretty good at hockey. He seems to know a lot.
But I must say, like I said, I'm going to be watching the women probably just as much. I mean, shutting out Canada in an Olympics, that's never happened. Yes, Canada
it wasn't like a little shutout. It was a spanking.
It didn't even look close.
Poulin, probably still their best player, but I don't know if she would have made a difference.
Well, they played that rivalry send-off series in Nashville, and it was the same stuff there, and she played those games. So I think we're just seeing a changing of the guard where the U.S. has so many young players who have developed in this USA Hockey ADM model and are just dynamite compared to everybody else.
They're still in college, some of them too, like Carolyn Harvey. Oh my God. She is I mean, the first time I saw her years ago, when Wisconsin won the title, when the Ohio State was heavily favored 2 years ago, I was like, that's a really good hockey player. And, you know, and now you get young players like Gabby and Carolyn Harvey and Edwards, and, you know, they got 6-7 current college players on that team. It's young, it's fast. The girl from Penn State, she can play. I mean, that's a loaded team.
Is women's college hockey in trouble? Is women's hockey in trouble? Yeah, they've got a pro league, but you look at the Olympics, it's U.S., Canada, it's US Canada. I think US missed one gold medal game, but only those two teams have ever won. Right now, you look at women's college hockey, it's Wisconsin and Ohio State, Minnesota there, but it's really been WCHA dominated for 25 years. I mean,
and a pop-up seasons by what was it? Not Cornell.
I think Northeastern had one.
Northeastern popped up a few times. I'm talking about it was a ECAC.
Whoever beat Minnesota in the national championship back in 2014.
They have two really good teams back to back.
Clarkson.
Clarkson. Yeah. I don't know if it's in trouble. I do think that competition helps. I think having so much of the resources and the best talent funnel to Wisconsin, Ohio State, Minnesota isn't necessarily helping. I think players like the girl, I'm trying to remember her name now, the Penn State player staying at Penn State is helping spread it around a little bit. But, until Penn State or some other team emerges, wins a freaking playoff or NCAA tournament game, gets to the Frozen Four, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And
Viggs, look at something like softball. It was just dominated by the Americans. And I don't think it's even an Olympic sport anymore, softball, or at least it was removed for a little while.
Yeah, that's partially true. I do think with Title IX, across the U.S., you're still going to see women's hockey get funded.
Yes.
I just wish we saw more community hockey in the women's game across the country like Minnesota does, because
Michigan having it.
Michigan, why do they not have a women's team at any of those schools? It's beyond me. And I know the revenue share stuff coming into play right now is a big part of that. But at the same time, it's like there just need to be more opportunities for women to play hockey. And, I think other countries need to take that into their mindset too. And Sweden and Finland should have co-programs where girls can play just as much as the boys.
And the U18 team for Finland just got demoted, I believe. So that doesn't help. I believe they lost the tournament. And got demoted. They finished 8th in the tournament in Nova Scotia this year. Every year the U18. So yeah. I don't think college hockey is necessarily in jeopardy because of the funding and all that stuff, Title IX and all that stuff. But for women's, I think Olympic hockey is the sport. For women's, they better figure this out. They better get, Finland or somebody has to beat. And maybe this is the right Canada team. I don't know. I don't think it's a right U.S. team. I think this is a loaded U.S. team. And it'll be very difficult to beat them other than maybe Canada. But, so
it's troubling that
what happened right here.
It's troubling to me that Sweden, Finland, Norway don't have strong women's programs. You would think those nations would value it, and it just hasn't come as quickly as some of the other.
And if you're not competing at the U18, it's the earliest sign. You're not going to compete at the U20, and you're probably not going to have that many players in the PWHL and compete at the next level at the Olympics. You're just not. So U18 is very important. They got to compete at that level.
Someone had mentioned here that the Czechs had been, an impressive team right now. And I'm just trying to think. She's a Czech player who scored 25 points, and she's going to Wisconsin, I think, coming up soon. I'm just trying to.
Everyone, there's one that's leading. I thought on Czechia that's leading the PWHL at scoring.
Well, this is a girl she's in her last year of prep school. She moved to the United States to go to a prep school, Bishop Kearney, and she's going to Wisconsin, I think, next year. And she's a Czech player, and she came in as a 14-year-old and led the U18s in scoring.
Oh,
and I read a story about her, and
at the U18s, yeah. There's a there's a really good player there.
And she went to this Bishop Kearney school, and she started playing girls flag football, and she was like the state player of the year in flag football. And she'd never played flag football before in her life, but she's just this tremendous athlete. It's just like there need to be more stories like that out there.
It's tough. It still I cover D3, I cover women's hockey. No one else really does. Women's hockey and D1 doesn't drive nearly the traffic that the men's does. I mean, it doesn't have the same level of interest. I'm passionate about it, especially on D1 women's side. D3 is a lot harder for me. It's more of a maintenance issue. It's hard. Because you can't get the damn scores right, and they keep postponing games and changing games, and have games starting one day and ending another, and that's D3 hockey. It's tough, but D1 women's, I hope it takes off. I mean, I hope. I think it's going to need, back to Jupiter's point, it's going to need a team other than the WCHA.
Yeah. To be a power. I mean, like I said, like Clarkson had some good teams, and Northeastern popped up. Maybe Penn State's big, but the thing is,
panicky. That's
if Michigan or Michigan State gets a team, Big Ten's going to have to create their own conference, won't they? They
have enough.
You got Ohio State, you've got Minnesota, you got Wisconsin, you've got Penn State. We're at 4. Are there any others right now? But if Michigan and Michigan State, that's 6.
The 6th they would do it, but
and then what?
No, Notre Dame doesn't have a team. I mean, there's another.
Yeah.
The
Michigan thing just boggles my mind.
None of the Michigan schools have a team. It's just infuriating.
The national development program's right there. I mean, come on. It's
but none of them do. I mean, none. Mm-hmm. Western, Northern, Ferris, nothing. What do they have? 7 Division I schools there, I think?
Yeah. Yep.
None. It's embarrassing. We're going to keep ripping them, too, because it's a joke. Wait, what is this? Wisconsin has 8, Minnesota 6, Duluth 6, Clarkson 3, OSU 2. That's the only ones that have won. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't quite a pop-up. Clarkson's got 3. And back in the day, before it was an NCAA tournament, you'd see teams like Harvard and Northeastern wins hockey.
Yeah, Duluth is actually 5, he said, but still, it's But Duluth has fallen off. They haven't been relevant really in a while. Minnesota, not really relevant anymore either.
Well, they just haven't been at the peak.
They can't get through. They can't get through them. One of those, Wisconsin or Ohio State.
I mean, until Wisconsin lost to Ohio State this past weekend, only losses Wisconsin had was against Minnesota. They beat them one night and then get killed the next night by Wisconsin. So,
but it's hard to gauge those teams with so many of their players missing for the Olympics.
Correct, especially right now.
Yeah. I especially key players too. I know McNaughton hasn't played much, but Harvey is a massive difference maker. I mean, she can change a game in a heartbeat. You just watch her during the USA games right now. Wow, can she move the puck? Can she skate? She's like one of the plays sequences. She was like 5 or 6 links behind a player breaking out of the zone. She catches up, steals the puck from her because she was caught herself up in the offensive zone and beat them back and stole the puck and turned around and passed it up the ice. It's like, are you kidding me? How do you do that? I mean, she's that much faster, that much smoother and she's a college kid than PWGL players. So yeah.
I see somebody in the chat, Sue, the Sioux getting rid of their women's team. was the biggest pile of shit ever. What are they doing?
And that was a good program with alarming.
It was a good program.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
they took that undefeated Minnesota team to 3 overtimes. I remember quite a few of us stayed over and watched that game, that undefeated season, because it was before a Gopher game. I don't think I got over the Gopher game until like mid-second period or something like that, because that overtime thriller was happening, and then all of a sudden they're gone. I just
that was. I still remember that announcement. That was ugly. I mean,
oh boy. Edwards plays the way I wish Javon Moore did. I can't disagree. I'd love to see Moore put his weight around there a little more, Viggs.
He's got to put
us. Well, it's a little bit of a style change that he has to embrace. You know, I think sometimes these players in modern hockey with all the skills coaches, like I think Javon Moore wants to be more of an LJ Mooney. You know, he wants to be more skill and flash, where if Javon Moore wants to play in the NHL, he's got to play more like Matthew Nyes.
Bingo.
And that's a mindset change in the way he thinks about the game, the way he prepares for the game, the way he handles situations. Like, those are two very different styles of hockey. But when you're 6'4", 215 pounds like Javon is, I think if you want to play in the NHL, it's got to be a different game than the one he plays. And it's got to change for him if he's going to be an impactful player. Otherwise, he's going to be one of those guys that just kind of teeters on the edge, you know, and doesn't really find his way and isn't consistent and maybe leaves early. You know, that's kind of the path for guys like that.
Oh, if you could bring out one Gopher this year, who would have made the biggest impact? I mean, if they would have kept a player or any Gopher, I guess.
I think any Gopher is the question.
Any era.
Well, I mean, for me, it's Mike Crowley.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I mean, Mike Crowley would be the perfect player for this team. You play him 30 minutes, you play Luke Mittelstadt 30 minutes, you're set. Your problems are solved. You know, Jackson Lacombe would be the other one that I'd think about bringing back.
Yeah, you had asked me, Jupiter, who my favorite Gopher player was for the longest time, and I told you, I looked and told you Mike Crowley. He, oh my God, that guy was so fun. So
yeah.
60-some points as a defenseman. I mean, come on, man. Just
63 points as a sophomore.
I mean, the game has changed a little bit. So Jackson Lacombe would probably be your easiest plug and play type guy, but you know, fourth year D can just change a game at the end.
Man, he was so smooth.
He was so smooth.
It was just too bad, you know. Yeah. Yeah, the first Gopher highlight I ever saw on ESPN was his backhand goal against number 1 CC at Mariucci. Rasmussen set him up. He just calmly stops it with his skate, just backhands it up over. I think it might have been Ryan Bach or something like that, whoever it was, and I just he's my all-time favorite player, and he always will be.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to.
But he's a Jaguar too, and I'm a Jefferson guy, so I'm a little biased too.
Just as that. Well, they win 50-something in a row with him there too.
They did win like 60 in a row or something like that. Yeah.
I've got my Blades of Glory book right over here about the Jefferson program.
Oh, mine's upstairs, but I do have it.
Yeah.
Were you a Jefferson guy too? Or where were you from?
No, I went to St. Paul Academy.
Oh,
so
boy.
You went to St. Paul Academy.
Not a lot of hockey success when I was there. During the 70s, they were quite good. Tom Vanelli, Lawrence, Mike Foley was the guy at the helm then. Great Shakespeare teacher that he was. But
I had Tom Satterdahl as a health coach. He was the health coach.
My own hasn't had as many in there, but there's been a few that that played there for a while, but high school alma mater was Totino Grace, Pizza High. So
one of my hockey highlights of my career was playing summer league with 2 Totino Grace players in the Mike Foley Summer Hockey League, and I was a recent graduate of St. Paul Academy, and I drove the Zamboni at Drake Arena as one of my jobs during the summer. And for a while, I could sub into the games. So I'd put on my hockey gear, take off my skates, drive the Zamboni, resurface the rink, quickly, like, get the Zamboni back into the Zamboni room, empty the tank, fill it up with water, and then put on my skates and join a game for a little extra ice time. And I was playing with 2 guys from Totino, and I was centering them. And I scored 5 points in the first period of a game with them. And they were just like, what the heck? I was like, I had like the game of my life. And my high school coach was watching that game, like giving reports for the summer league, because they track you and they give you notes, like what to improve on. And I got done with the game, and he goes to me, he's like, where was this in high school?
What the hell, man? Hanging me out to dry.
It's like, sorry, coach. I don't know. Just I hit a growth spurt or something. Late bloomer. Like, best game of my high school life was just after I graduated. So, in a summer league game. So much fun.
Sound like, I was gonna say, you sound like you had a good time, man.
Oh, it was a great summer. It was like my summer before I went to college, and drove the Zam and got to work out all the time and had a great experience.
All right, Tim, how long are you gonna keep USCHO going?
As long as I can. People still go there. I mean,
no, I know that, but I even think about it too. How long do I keep you feel going?
It's a passion, right? You know?
Yeah.
Maybe you have to keep it until the Gophers win another national title.
Oh, jeez. That'd be nice. Should have happened a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was a close one. That was a really close one.
Oh, man. Bad memories.
Was it Lacombe on the ice, face down?
He was on the ice.
Face down, yeah. First thing I thought of when they said, "Oh, he's making the Olympic team," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh man,
that was my last memory of him as a Gopher. Yeah, that was brutal.
They hurt us real bad, Viggs. They hurt us real bad.
That was painful. Well, I think I heard a player say the other day, it's like, you don't necessarily remember your wins as like the hardest memories. You remember the losses. You learn more from a loss than you do from a win, and that's going to stick with everybody for a long time.
And the few seniors are the last of that team. Because John Middlestead scored in that game. I think he was either goal number 1 or number 2, I believe, wasn't he?
Sure did. Thought we'd see a little more of that from John this year,
but yeah,
it hasn't happened. It's funny, like I thought I saw something with Luke, John, and Casey talking about hockey, and they're just like, John, as a skater, is just so talented. Like, even with Luke being a high performing D and Casey in the NHL, they're just like, John's a great skater. He puts himself in a lot of good spots. But I'm not a coach of the Gophers, so what do I know?
All right, Tim, who should be the next coach of Minnesota when Motzko decides to hang it up?
Oh my God,
I know,
that's brutal.
Can you give us 5 candidates? 5 candidates.
There you go.
Not who.
I don't know if
who are 5 names?
Are you gonna pick mostly like player alumni, or are you gonna go with
anybody
current coaches?
I think you have to have someone with coaching experience. Can't just give it to like Paul Martin.
No,
he doesn't have any head coaching experience.
Can't give it to Tom Chorsky.
No. What about the? Shoot, I mean, I don't know God. I mean, if he went to Wisconsin, I would have said Hastings, but I don't think they're going to take him get him from Wisconsin. So it gets tough with that.
Viggs wouldn't like it because he wouldn't be able to watch practice if Hastings was coach.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't
Not
let
allowed.
not allowed. Oh,
Molesky hates it. Molesky hasn't seen a practice since like forever.
yeah.
Well, some of the names that we've heard: Garrett Raboyne.
Okay.
Because he was here.
I
think that he's from the St. Cloud kid.
He's at St. Cloud, so you're just going back to back St. Cloud. What about the kid, the guy that's doing Augustana?
Garrett Raboyne.
That's Raboyne.
That's Raboyne. Okay, that's Raboyne. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That he's at.
And you run a college hockey website? What the hell, dude?
I'm just trying to. I didn't remember which player went to.
Oh,
and then the one that went up was it McCult or something that was at Lindenwood and then moved over to
Bill McCult. Yeah,
he probably wanted. He's
over at Tech now again.
He ultimately wants Michigan, though. I mean,
yeah, but if he ain't getting it because the guy signed a long contract, of course he wants Michigan. But
yeah,
are you going to bring in somebody in the Michigan lineage? So that's where it gets tough. It's like I have trouble finding a name within the Gopher that makes a lot.
Because I don't think Batoni. Now after Northern Michigan.
No. not after the 10 or 9 players or 14 players that left that school the year afterwards or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't either, but I've heard people say that. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's going to happen. We've heard Ben Barr out of Maine because he's a Faribault guy who went to Shattuck. We've heard that name. But he's kind of right that there's no Minnesota guys out there, Viggs.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Barr is probably your closest because he's from Faribault. But
he's not a M guy.
Not an M guy. I don't think there are many M guys. Corey Leyland is at St. Thomas as an assistant, but he's not really a high-profile assistant. No. I do think Pat Ferschweiler would be a candidate at Minnesota. As much as Western Michigan is putting into their building and their rink, Western Michigan is not a Power 4 school. They will never have the budget of a Big Ten team.
Yeah, that would be a step up for him from a monetary and from a prestige point of view. I think he would do well, but no lineage. That's why I was having struggle naming anybody with a lineage that even remotely ties to Minnesota. There's no guys.
Like Travis Richards is probably the alum with the highest coaching credentials, but he's never been in college
too old
successfully.
They need a young voice.
They do. I'm just trying to explore. I'm just kind of exploring the edges, Jupiter, of alums who coach. Yeah. I really wish Mike Genzel would have kept coaching. I wish he would have taken the stick of not getting the job last time and found another job, even if it would have been like the USHL. And then maybe he's the coach at Augustana or something and prepares himself. Well, now he's probably 60, 63, something like that, I'm sure. But he's taking himself out of the running by not coaching. Scott Bell, an alum, is taking himself out of the running by not coaching. So, the people who would be potential candidates just aren't there anymore.
They're not. So you're either going to tap a coach from that's had success elsewhere, like a Verschweiler, Providence's coach. He's a really good coach.
He's a really good coach.
And he's won a national title. It would be a step up for him. But again, East Coast guy. How does that fit in? So it's not easy.
And my thought is that you have to have a general manager. You're going to have somebody who's doing recruiting, doing NIL, working all of that stuff. Sue Gwozdecki, he's out of coaching too. He's
high school. He's a high school coach.
Yeah. Great guy. Gwozdecki is a great guy, but no. But you need a general manager. You need somebody young, somebody in their 40s, I think. I think you need somebody who's going to be here to build it back. Somebody say Stu Bickle. He doesn't have any coaching experience.
Reed Cashman, head of Dartmouth hockey. He's from Red Wing, Minnesota.
Reed Dartmouth has come around. I mean, how old is he?
He's 42.
Okay, younger.
I've not heard his name from anyone, but
wow, okay.
He's a Minnesota guy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, here's my also thought is, if you can get a general manager that can handle some of that recruiting, Vigs, maybe that allows you to bring in Paul Martin as your defense coach, because the rumors are he's not going to want to be out on the recruiting road. But boy, I think I wouldn't mind having his mind not just be an advisor on leadership.
Here's the deal, though. College hockey, all the coaches have to recruit.
Yeah.
So if you hire Paul as one of your 4 paid staff, he's going to have to recruit.
Yeah.
So who knows? I think anytime everyone asks Bob about, does Paul want to get into coaching? He's like, well, you'll have to ask Paul. So I
somebody asked about Paul today.
I didn't ask him when I ran into him. Yeah, the Notre Dame TV crew got the last questions of availability, which I dominated for the first 10 minutes because the Daily Writer was sitting on the benches, at the back.
But they were actually there?
They were there, but I didn't know that they were there to ask questions. Like, I couldn't tell. It was the first time I'd seen her at a availability, so I just thought maybe she was just there. So I just asked 10 minutes of questions with Bob today. So sorry, everyone who listened to that and felt me have some awkward moments with Bob as we talked about the direction of the program and recruiting and portal and all that stuff. But he brought it upon himself with the coaches show this week. And so I thought it was fair game to talk about. So yeah, you'll have to listen, Jupe. You posted.
I started listening to a little bit, but then I just wanted to get it posted. I haven't had a chance to do it tonight.
It was 10 minutes with Bob.
It was like, well, yours was, but it was like
mine was
13 or 14 minutes. Did a player come out?
Eric Paulson came out, but then Bob and I continued our conversation in the hallway, so I didn't get to talk to Mr. Paulson today. So
yeah, this is where Viggs gets the behind the scenes stuff that he doesn't share.
Yeah,
unless you listen to the very end of the show.
Well, it's a tough time for the Gopher program right now.
It is.
Anytime you're talking about other coach candidates, it's not going great. And who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Bob's got 2 more years after this in his contract. We just saw Fleck get a contract amendment this last week.
He gets one every time someone sneezes, though.
Yeah. Keegan Cook got one. Even Forrest Carr at Duluth got one this week. So there are amendments happening out there. So we'll see what's going on.
Are you demanding change, Tim? Are you at that point yet? Are you like,
I
would go out?
No. I think Motzko's is a good coach. I'm not demanding change of the coaching. I would like to have him embrace some of the things that have changed in the game, like the CHL. That's the biggest, I think, miss this year. He should have had somebody in line. NIL is more of a, can you get your backers to your boosters to help with that school? That's a whole different issue. Problem. Yeah. You almost need that general manager to help sell the boosters to put the money in to pay the program, but that in that has something to do with CHL, because you're to get a Portmanteau or a McKenna, you're going to have to put some serious money in, but those players only last 2 years. Or Cooley, how long did he last? 1. So you just top high-end players, 1 and done, 2 and done. It's tough, and I don't know how you get out of that cycle. Maybe you change the schema.
I think that kind of player is your last ad to your roster.
Yeah.
You can't build your program expecting those guys to come every year. They need to come to a roster where you have a talent and you have an obvious spot to fit that player in.
Do you recruit to a program style? Do we change the? I mean, are we the up and gun? Are the Gophers still the run and gun, high offense octane kind of team they once were, or do we focus more on the defensive side of it? I mean, this year, what stat is one of the Gophers leading the nation in? Block shots.
That's block shots and power play. Shots and power play. What a weird combination.
Their own defensive zones and just block shots. They just stand there like pilots.
Yeah, he's not wrong. Because we've never seen him close in any kind of shot block category.
Oh my God, no!
It's usually they're usually getting double block shots for the other team that they're shooting into their shins.
They own the puck. They can pass. They're faster. They're on the puck quicker. That's Gopher hockey, right? Puck possession. That's what they've been really good at for a long time. But you can win with other styles. I wouldn't say. I mean, that Michigan plays a very similar style to that, but I wouldn't say that Michigan State does. I think Michigan State plays a very different style of hockey. Penn State plays more of a possession style. So.
I'm sure Gopher Game Notes has dug into this, but like I'm sure like the shot numbers this year for Minnesota, like shots for, shots against, have got to be an outlier to program history. Like the number of games Minnesota has struggled to put up. I think
25.
I think the over-under for Gophers this year are probably like 20 shots.
Yes.
Where most years the over-under is probably like 35.
I think their average is like 24 or 25 a game or something like that. It's really pretty low, but then they give up like 30.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got some games in there where they piled them on. You do, and they are outliers. But they're
back to the mean.
The mean versus the average are two different things here on this one. Yeah.
Like I bet if you looked at the mean, it's a weird number this year for Minnesota.
Much lower. It'd be 20. Yeah.
And they've just struggled to get possession, to maintain a presence in the offensive zone for a long period of time. And I think that's because the defense is not up to standard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, 2 players on this year's Olympic teams were defensemen in the national championship game. That's insane.
It's insane.
Think about the level that you had it at.
They're like 47th in shots on goal this year.
I think if we check the tape on our first couple podcasts of the year, I said this team is putting a lot of faith that Leo Gruba is going to be the answer at defense. And he has not been the player that they need him to be.
Thomas has struggled as well recently.
Well, I think because Thomas is being put in a role where he has to puck move. Mm-hmm. He's not a puck mover. He's a defender first. He's a supporting player. He needs to play with someone who can create offense. Even if it was like Mike Kester and Cal Thomas out there, that would be a great pair because Thomas would allow Kester to do all the stuff that Kester does, and Thomas would do all the stuff that Kester can't. But there's no pairing for Thomas this year. Like there's no person to put him with that's going to be able to take advantage of the stuff that Thomas does well. So then you have Thomas making these D-to-D passes instead of going north and the puck ending up in their own net. It's just.
Do you think was it losing Renzel that really opened this whole set these dominoes up, or what was it? I mean, because
I think Renzel and Chesley. Like if those two guys are back, this team is just fine. They don't lose these games the way they lose them. If those two guys are back, this team's in the NCAA tournament. Because everybody now has to play roles that they can't play. And it's been too much for them to overcome.
Was Chesley a junior or was he what was he? I forget.
I think he was a sophomore, wasn't he?
No, I think he was on the national champion losing team.
I have the memory of a Fig Newton, so I don't.
Okay, he was a junior last year. Okay,
Yeah,
senior year, but still.
He hasn't had a sniff of the NHL this year.
He gave you the 3, so that you ask for. So Chesley was not the one I would say that it's the ones that burn you, or like you can't replace Renzel. He grew so much in that second year. I thought his first year, second year, the back half of that first year was really good. That last year,
and the first half of last year was really good, but the second half of last year,
he's checked out.
He was looking ahead. He was looking to play for Chicago. He was listening more to the scout from Chicago who would meet with him after the game rather than his coaches. And you could see it in his game. He was not improving in the areas that he needed to for the Gophers to be successful. His play around his own net, his caution in transition was just not there. And that team last year just kind of fell apart at the seams with too many guys trying to do their own thing.
Boo.
But Jackson Lacombe came back for a senior year. Ryan Johnson came back for a senior year. Ryan Chesley could have came back for a senior year. It's possible.
Yep, it's possible. It's possible.
Connor Kurth could have come back even though he graduated.
I don't think he would have. I mean, he would have helped, but I don't think
he's not going to. I think Biggs is right.
He could have taken a spot than a D3 Graham Harris. I
get what you're saying, but I don't think.
But that's what the fans are going to say. They're going to say, the last guy you brought in was a D3 player at Augsburg. It's hard to argue against that.
You can't paint the frescoes with plumbers. You need artists.
I don't know. Our roster's going to move up to 28 players. You think that's going to be something to talk about during the Naples meetings?
There's a lot of push because of the goaltending situation. If you only have 2 goaltenders and one of them gets hurt, you're
done.
You're done. And there was issues where the third goaltender or ability. There's some like RIT had to put a third string person in or a club player in and all that stuff. The goaltending is what's going to drive that, I believe, discussion that the coach is going to mention.
What are you drinking now, Viggs?
I got an old reliable size 7. So it's a 2-beer overtime tonight. It's been a long week already.
Yeah, I should have poured myself a Jack and Diet.
Not stopping it, Tim. Not stopping. You're at fish camp. I'm sure there's plenty of things there.
Well, no, it's just it's with an older couple and my wife. My wife's they're probably all asleep. They'll probably go.
You got to prepare ahead of time. You got to bring it with you.
Well, he hasn't been on the show in 14 years.
I was only on the overtime then, or whatever it was. And
you were the main guest. You were the main guest.
Oh, sorry.
The funny thing is, I looked it up today, and it said you were the main guest. It was like episode number 19.
19.
Yeah, we're still recording then. So it was the first.
I did so well. You invited me back 350.
Yeah. You disappeared from Mariucci for a couple of years.
I did.
There were some years you weren't even there visiting. So I'm just saying.
And for the longest time, I was on the other side. I wasn't next to you in the press box. I was still.
You were hiding over there on the other side, which they don't put any media over there anymore.
Yeah. For the longest time,
So, plus you're kind of a recluse. No one knows who you are.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You don't have a Twitter handle. I was having to use USCHO for the Twitter thing. I don't think you have a Twitter. I couldn't find you.
I do, but I don't go in there.
I don't use it. Yeah.
I know.
Wasn't worth tagging.
First time I started using Twitter is when I had to repost stuff here this year. So social media stuff. I'm having to.
Your USCHO guy's actually putting you to work.
I'm putting myself to work. Yeah, trying to grow the Instagram and the Twitter, and we're up to like 7,000 on Instagram. So we're moving. It's
trying to get your podcast with over 1,000 subscribers.
Trying to do that. Trying to get the hours up on the podcast too. Both things. I want to get to a point where I can monetize it with their things, and
we would like to get that too.
Yeah. You need 4,000 or 3,000.
It's 4,000 hours in a 6-month period or something like that. We can get that. You need the subscribers.
I have all the validated subscribers.
We need the subscribers. We've got plenty of watch time. We need more subscribers.
I need the opposite
for YouTube.
Because
we're tiny but mighty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you are.
We've been here a long time, and we're proud of that. We're the oldest podcast by far. I know Inch was doing a podcast back in the day. Just annoyed the hell out of me because everyone sounded. Some guys be really soft, you couldn't hear. And then you'd have somebody come in. You'd have someone like Jess come in, be really loud. So you couldn't hear barely. It was so weird. So I always thought production value is important. So I concentrated on the audio and still do it.
And you do a great job with the audio, Jupe. Great job. We don't have to hold our mics like all the shows are doing these days.
That's like a young. Everyone's holding their mics and I just like, come on, people. It's mostly the spit and chicklets guys. They're holding their Shure mic and I'm like, dude, relax, calm down. Are you going to be on one of your own podcasts?
I don't know if they'd let me.
We're not giving the old man any airtime. He's terrible.
Got to maintain that Eastern bias.
You'd be too pro Gopher.
I've been on a few of the live events when we used to do them at the Frozen, but I haven't done much of the other ones. No, you got a coach on there, and like Schooley's on there every week. That's a great one.
I'm glad that Schooley's still doing it. Like I worried, because it looked like he might drop off of it. I think he's been a good asset to that podcast, even though we were getting into it in Tampa.
He loves it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
What were you getting into?
Basically, he does it.
What happened in Tampa?
What bar was that?
I don't remember.
We were in the lobby of the hotel.
Oh.
And I was waiting for my Uber because I had like a 6 a.m. flight and I didn't have a room that night. And so I, had a couple of bevies and I was like, Derek, we got to talk about this championship game here. What happened during the game? What did you see as a coach? And he's like, well, I got friends on the other side too. And I was like, that's fine. It's like, I've got friends all over. I've got a lot of enemies too. I was like, I just want to know what you saw. And I was just like, I didn't think Minnesota handled the pressure very well. It wasn't like a change in scheme. And, he was kind of, second guessing it a little bit. We were, having a couple conversations in the heat of the night. And we agreed to disagree on a few things.
I thought if you go back and look at that game, I saw the pressure starting to get to Minnesota and their defense in the first period at the end of it. You could start to see like they're struggling to get this out of the zone. What this is not a normal flow of a Minnesota team. Then they went up 2-0 and I'm like, okay, well maybe it's going okay. But then it all seemed to, come back again full circle. They couldn't get out of their zone. They were getting trapped in the neutral zone. They could not move the puck in deep. So
we're going there. Okay. The biggest issue to me was that the young Gopher players couldn't handle pucks under physical pressure. Because what Quinnipiac was doing is they were applying pressure very quickly to every outlet pass.
Sure.
And they could not handle it. If you had a player who could receive a pass in body contact and make the next play, that game was going to be an unlocked game. But they just couldn't do it. And I don't know if some of that's that they had too many like young players, or if the pressure got to them, or Quinnipiac was just that skilled at putting pressure on another team. But that was the missing link.
You put what I saw in the hockey words, they were on them. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't get it out of their zone. That was a very highly skilled team that could move the puck, that had incredible defense. They had not seen that level of pressure.
It was a physical contact at puck reception. If you just make that play at that moment consistently, like that game's over. There were plays where they had rushes and they didn't capitalize on them. They could have extended the lead and put it away. They just couldn't do it. Yeah, they just couldn't do it.
So
we went there.
We went there. Sorry,
but I was trying to have that conversation with Derek at 3 a.m. At a Marriott.
yeah, and I probably left my bottle of Jack or vodka with him in the lobby, and he was probably
this is true. This is true. This is fact. There were other college coaches there also enjoying some of that. So
everybody. Yep.
I mean, there's no better place to be than a lobby of a Marriott after the Frozen Four. I mean, it's a good time, and
Well, I would say it's the best time of year, obviously for hockey, but for the types like us, regionals and Frozen Fours, bar none the best, because you see so many people. You're like, hey, I'm sitting in here. How you doing? And
are you going to go to a regional without the Gophers being there at all? What about St. Thomas, man? It's a local team. You said you're trying to find interest in other teams.
Not that much.
They could easily be playing, North Dakota and Sioux Falls.
There's like 4 people from the U who now work at St. Thomas, so I'm sure we'd see people we know.
Yeah, McGinnis finally started his job there, didn't he?
Yep.
He'll be there. No, he's not doing a hockey thing though. He's doing something else, I believe.
I don't know what his official role is, but St. Thomas has plenty of money to attract people. That's for sure. It's a different environment than the U.
Though they're 13th, I believe, right now, 12th or 13th. They're definitely in jeopardy if they don't, and with their bad strength of schedule or mediocre strength of schedule, any slip up and they're.
Well, Jim Connolly anointed them as the only CCHA team that's going to make the tournament this week. So I mean, his word is his bond. So I expect to see it happen.
The process is every week we pick the highest rated team. That is, if you don't have wins, you have to force an Atlantic team in because none of them in their top 16. So, and it could, St. Thomas could make it, and Michigan Tech could win the tournament, and now you're sitting 2 CCHA teams. So,
okay, let's open up the other can of worms. Regionals, should they be on home ice?
Yes.
Can you convince the rest of the coaches that?
Do you go to Naples, Tim?
No. Conley went one year. I did not go. Okay. It'd be interesting. They don't let you in it, like media people in on anything except for the bars afterwards. So you're just going down there for bars.
Could you do like an exhibitor? Could you be like a?
You could. They do have stuff. Yeah. You could.
I think that would be interesting to be an exhibitor there and like do a podcast where you try to get every coach there to come through and just do like a 5-minute, the media mile at the Final Four for basketball, something like that, where you just say,
really cool. We could put a pile of them, absolute pile of them to come on.
I think that would be funny. You have a beer with Vigo, and
a beer with Vigo. That's the podcast, Vigs, right there. Beer with Vigo. Just like
you said you'll do that for me at the Frozen Four. If I fly you down there, you'll run.
If you fly me to Naples, I would have a booth, and I would welcome every coach to come tell me why I'm wrong about the regionals. You can have a beer on me. You can have a beer on me. I'll alternate between a beer and a water. See if I can get all 63 coaches in 3 days.
That'd be fun.
It would be a lot of fun.
Probably not
I think we should try to get David Carl on a summer podcast, Vigs.
I would love it. He's a bright guy. Maybe. I don't know. He seems to be very friendly. He read my transfer portal recruiting age article I wrote for USCHO, and he commented to me about it. He's like, "Yep, I read it. Very good article. Well researched."
I told you it would get read by the right people.
Yep, it gets read by the right people.
Very high readership amongst coaches and people like that. Very high readership. Yeah.
I like how Vigo gets into the financials of Minnesota. Every year you get that information and nobody else is talking about it, Vigs. Someone else picked it up, but no one else is talking about it.
I know when and where to look and how to churn through the data and see what's relevant for us. So I take a little bit of personal pride in that. I had a member of the athletic department come up to me and said, "Well, we put 3-1 odds that you'd be the first one to report on all that stuff. And you came through for us. We're not allowed to gamble, but
if we could,
hypothetical odds, you were a heavy favorite."
And I've won the bet. Yeah, so yeah. Thank you. Do it again next year. Quick.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So look at host regional and its home ice. Great if the sport. Well, I'll just bring this up while Jason say here. Facility can host regional and its home ice. Great. If the sports commission, the AHL Barns has the best bid, great. Why not a hybrid? Rural college barns are better than it. That's true. We just don't have any neutral sites here. Well, especially in Minnesota, we have really none.
None that are good.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't mind the regionals at camp, the highest seats, that kind of thing. But the Arnold elected site, I know it's really a logistic nightmare. There's I think there was
the women figure it out every year.
The super regional concept was pushed for a while. I don't know.
Well, that's what it was at first. We had an East and West regional, and there was 12 teams.
I really wish the Wild, with their trio rink, would have built something that could have hosted a regional. The trio rink is just not quite
enough.
The parking, it's like 2,000. The parking's not very good because it's on the roof of a building downtown.
What did they do for the St. Louis one? That was an absolutely tiny one that they jammed.
Talk to Schloss on that one. Schlossman just loved that one.
Let's put 4 major programs in the tiniest rink of any and call it a success. And that's the thing. That's the thing. I have a beef with Jim Connolly, is that he talks about the success of these regionals because of the committee bending over backwards to make certain sites work. And I just hate that as a narrative for why this model works, because that shouldn't be a consideration. You should be creating the best atmosphere possible. And I still remember the regionals when they were on home ices at Mariucci, at the Ralph. The first time, it took me, I don't know how many years. I finally went back to North Dakota last year, but I was there for one weekend, this regional that was up there, and there was this team called Boston. I never went back there. Did I ever tell you that?
I was there this fall. I love going up there.
I was there. The Robert Morris game. I went and saw Schooley up there with Don. My wife and I went up there. We went to Schooley. Got tour of the club level. It was nice. It's fun.
We did a podcast with Sweet a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's a cool rink.
It's a gorgeous rink. But yeah, there. I remember I was at the last minute. I flew out in 2002 to Ann Arbor and went to the regional there. That building. Oh man, that was incredible. The atmosphere of that building. it was alive. The building literally, you'll shake. The thing shakes. I mean, when you're in the press box, it is, it's intense.
You would have had Penn State at Maine last year.
Oh my God, that would have been unbelievable.
That would have been so great. Like all the money that Maine has put into that building and their facilities the last couple of years, it would have been great. UConn, like they've put a ton of money into their program. I think they would have had a regional or a first round game last year.
You may have to, if it was at the highest seed or host or whatever, you would have to have what happens if Michigan Tech wins and is the highest seed? What do you even do there? You can bring everybody to the Uber. So
don't do the Super Regional.
If Michigan Tech is a top 8 team and they deserve a home game, they should get one. And it's just one game.
It's just one game. You
don't have to have a Super Regional. Just do one game.
I think the Super Regional, as David Carl has said, doesn't work because what if the host loses? You have a championship game for that regional. It doesn't work. You have the same problem. That's why 8 games, 8 sites. ESPN does it for every other NCAA tournament that they broadcast. They can figure it out.
The women's basketball through the Sweet 16 is, or through the round of 32 is all on site.
Yeah.
So why not? But it's a lot of politics. Coaches don't want nothing to do with it. They keep going back to, a lot of them have memories that they weren't even around for. I mean, none of the coaches that care about that stuff what coach was around in that era? Really? I mean, to remember Michigan always getting to the Frozen Four because they hosted every year at
well, Cornell's still pissed. And he just retired.
Playing at Mariucci. Because of playing at Mariucci.
Yeah, played at Mariucci.
That was a bad experience for them, and it shaped his entire belief system.
You know what?
That one
play
game.
Better.
Yeah.
Host yourself.
U.S. World Junior team went to Sweden and made an entire Swedish crowd go home in tears because the U.S. won a gold medal there. And the players loved it, and the coach loved it. So Bob doesn't want to get involved in this argument, by the way, because whatever he says isn't going to help his ultimate goal. He's fine with the regionals as they are. As we've talked about, it's kind of a fun weekend to see everybody.
Yes.
So that part's fun, but I think on-campus sites would be better.
Exponentially. Yep.
Yeah. Because people would travel for an NCAA tournament game regardless of where it's at. You'd still get people there.
Preach it to the choir. Preach it to the choir. Well, what are you going to click these? There you go. All the ranks.
I know Edina is proposing adding another sheet to Braemar. They should just go all in and build a 5,000 seat rink in one of their rinks and have it be like a premier rink for games.
Maybe Big should have done that when they just did their big remodel.
They've got the money in Edina. I'm sure they would love to have it. They'd be able to host section games, I'm sure, forever for them. And Edina is always going to play in those section games. I'm sure they make lots of money. They can have big tournaments there. That makes so much sense to me. You have a junior team in Edina.
The funny thing is, Edina is sent to big a lot.
Right, because Braemar's not big enough.
Well, Braemar's big enough. It's about the same size as Big was.
I think it's a little bit smaller in the parking.
But still, I mean, their section weren't even. I mean, their sections they like swapped. They would play kind of different. It was just weird, but
yeah. I remember back in the day going to semifinals at Big, Braemar, Mariucci, Aldrich.
For us, it's
Coliseum.
For us, it was Met Center.
At Met Center, I remember the newspapers being up as people had their lineups read.
Gosh, yes.
It was great.
Some of the Mariucci ones in mid 90s. Like number 1 Apple Valley against number 2 Jefferson, and you had Edina Minnetonka in the same afternoon. And there was the fire marshal didn't go that day because they had 11 or 12,000 people in that building easily.
I remember Apple Valley had David Fisher and then another defender who was like 6'7", and they played like 40 minutes a game for them. It was just insane to see them do that on the Olympic ice. It's like one of them was always on the ice all the time, and for 10 minutes they're on the ice together.
Coliseum's dead. That's not dead. I've always kind of wondered why some of these other schools haven't tried for the women's Frozen Four. I mean, there's a lot of good facilities that could do it.
There is, but they just don't. The women's Frozen Four is really hit or miss. You got to have Wisconsin or Ohio State within driving distance, or Minnesota within driving distance of it.
I'm sure St. Thomas will probably host, but their parking is not the greatest.
Oh, it's terrible.
But Mankato could host. Duluth has hosted. You got Augustana now has got a great arena. You got some of these arenas that are perfect for women's Frozen Four. Just perfect.
St. Thomas could easily host. This year
I think they could easily host a regional too.
Penn State is where the regional or the Frozen is this year. Yep. And that's a haul for anyone.
That's in the middle of nowhere. That's. I hope they're hoping Penn State makes it. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, they're fourth in the MPI, but they've never won an NCAA game. That's one of those prove-it teams. That they're an absolute prove-it team. Janicki's a hell of a player, but one player can't carry you. You need at least two or three.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when's the next distribution or decisions? I mean, we've got Vegas this year. We've got what's the next couple cities? Chicago and DC, I think it is.
Chicago, DC. Yep.
And then that's kind of the end of all the regionals as they're set up now. But will they be meeting this spring?
I just think they did those two at the end of last year. We were running low on
it was the year before that.
I think it was last year, because that's why there was the big emphasis, like with Carl and Schlossman trying to campaign for.
No, I want to say it was the end of the Frozen Four that was in Minnesota, because I was thinking some guys were telling us Seattle had a good chance at the time.
I was sitting right next to the bid people from Seattle, so there was some concern about their some of the crime and stuff like that there, but I think it's better now. I don't know. I don't think they put a great bid in. From what I heard at the very end, but they did put a bid in. They were serious about it, but I don't know. Yeah.
Did Detroit put a bid in, because they had theirs taken away, and I thought that if they would have just put any sort of bid in, they would kind of get in, because theirs was taken away due to COVID.
Yeah, I don't think they put it. They didn't get accepted. That's more of a Conley question. I don't remember for sure. I don't. They've only picked two in that cycle. I think that the next cycle they'll probably pick three. They may only go with two. They may not want to go.
Tampa will be one of them. They love Tampa now.
Oh God, yeah. Tampa loves us too. Yeah.
And the thing is, it does suck for an NHL team, because they're out for a week.
And everybody goes, why can't you do Nashville? It'll never be in Nashville as long as there's a conflict.
They can just make so much more money. They can't close down for a week for the NCAA, unless in Frozen. I guess they could do it in basketball, but
it's the venue has a conflict. It has a convention. There that year every year. That week every year, so it's already booked. So it's there's plenty of bars, restaurants, hotels. It would be an awesome environment. We'll
see how Vegas is this year.
Yeah.
I'm
a Vegas person. I don't.
See, I'm not either, but
the mathematician in me finds it hard to gamble.
It's not gambling, it's entertainment, Tim.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Well, the mathematician in me doesn't find it entertaining.
Yeah. It is a losing proposition, just like going to a hockey game. So especially if you're a Gopher fan these days.
Oh, I was gonna go there, but you went first. Yep. No, I mean I love me some bingo and meat raffles and things like that, but just like playing pull tabs or or slots. I mean, my dad loved it. But no.
What do you have against pull tabs? It's going to a great cause, a good local charity, usually. Maybe a youth sports organization.
Then ask me.
I think it's more of the gambling part in Vegas.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
But I'm not even a pull tabs guy though. I see far too many times, up here, up in the stick. Well, I'm in North Dakota right now. The sticks in Minnesota. I feel there. I see far too many times where people go in and dump $400 on pull tabs. Yeah. Not the pull tab sports thing.
He's just realizing it now.
Yeah, I know. The wheels were turning. The mathematician that could not compute quite yet, could not compute. Oh, we got a result. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you're talking about
for a while. Oh crap, it crashed.
Oh. No. That's why he's not in the media, folks. He's not trained yet. Oh boy. Well, it has been fun. We've been doing this for almost 2.5 hours. So
just to cap off our discussion here.
Yeah.
So they decided last year to pick sites through 2028.
Okay.
The next time they would pick sites won't be this year, but probably next year.
I think they got, so they're 2028. They need at least 2 years in advance. So they have to come out it's probably next summer. They're going to have to come out with at least
2029s. Okay.
29, and they'll do 2 at a time.
Yeah.
Unless there's no good bids, but they'll do 2 at a time. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not Boston and Tampa, that kind of thing. Yeah. So you're coming up on Boston again. You're in Boston and St. Paul are always going to be in the mix every 8 years ish.
And it looks like Fargo, Sioux Falls, Loveland are what we have out west.
Unless coaches change their mind, they got about a year to do it, 1.5 years to do it.
We got 3 sites.
The only ones that are willing to put in bids.
Because I mean, think about it. Wisconsin used to do like the Resch Center in Green Bay or whatever, and Grand Rapids. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I mean, well, it's one thing that's strange is that a couple of years we got both Fargo and Sioux Falls, which is rare. They're going to be that close, but if the West isn't bidding, you're going to see, kind of 3 of them out east, which we've seen.
Penn State, yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it Philadelphia? Or what was the one a couple of years ago?
Well, they're doing Allentown, Worcester,
yeah,
Providence. It's the same old. Holy Cross like hosts almost every year now. I noticed.
It Worcester, and that that could put a wrinkle in the like all the bracketing and all that crap this year. If Holy Cross somehow, runs the table and wins the Atlantic.
Because they're the Worcester. They're the Worcester.
The Worcester hosts. Omaha's the Worcester is the Sioux Falls host. So everybody's like, "Oh, Augustana, why? If they get there, why would you ship them out?" Like, well, because they're not the host.
Well, because of attendance, though, Tim. You want to save regional with attendance.
Yes, Sioux Falls. I think the Sioux will do that. North Dakota will do that. Can we call them that still here?
You can. I won't.
Yeah. Oh, I've been known to wear that jersey too. So.
Oh boy, you're gonna tick the people off now.
Oh,
So yeah,
I'm a Gopher fan, but I'm also a college hockey fan, and I don't hold the Gopher fan. Oh boy, better idea. Let's attach a rink to Brule.
So Drecker's got a fantastic Brewhalla up north, and it's a good spot. They got good pizza, good beers. They've got like a hotel right there. They just need a hockey rink. That'd be a great site.
Yeah, next year it's Bridgeport, Fargo, Loveland, Springfield, Mass. Sacred Heart, UND, DU, and UMass hosting. And then that 28 year, you've got Allentown by Penn State, Fargo by UND, Rochester, New York for RIT, and Sioux Falls by Augustana. It seems like Sioux Falls kind of switches with UNO and Augustana back and forth these days. So, yeah, like you said, 2 years, so they're going to start thinking about it pretty soon here.
Yep. I'm sure that the bid's got to get put together, and yep. We'll hear rumblings this year at the Frozen Four. So
yeah.
That's why we got to be there.
Gotta use
Road
that
trip
budget.
We'll see. Who knows?
Road
Who
trip.
knows?
Road trip. Thanks for coming on, Tim. Can you stay on while we go off the air? Make sure we get your recording and all and everything there. But man, thanks for coming on. It's fun to have you on because we know we can BS with you for hours. That's what's nice.
I'm hoping that people enjoyed the BS.
This is what we do when we see each other, folks. We just BS and talk about all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
and it's fun. And old times, great. I can't even think of what I want to say anymore. That was me like at the end of the show. We're doing it live. What do you do?
2 hours and a half. How long does it normally go?
This is about average.
2 hours.
I think
we've had really into it.
We've had a 3.5, I think, before. And some drinking has been involved. So
yeah.
That's when we have the real fun. But, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next week. 2 weeks. God, I keep forgetting 2 weeks. Keep screwing this up. That's what I'm doing to you live. Bye, folks.
On this.
Figs, we finally got Tim out of his shell. What do you think?
Pretty good. Little disappointed he didn't bring the Jack Daniels with him to the bunkhouse.
Yeah, I think that's legit.
I mean, it's a legit gripe I have here. And, Bob, if he was here,